It's always a pleasure, a special pleasure for me when I get a chance to talk to the Lafayette faculty. This one kind of freaks me out a little bit though, because it's Jen Talarico, and Professor Talarico is a cognitive psychologist, so you can understand my trepidation. But Jen, welcome to the Lafayette Sports Network. And you know, I'm reading here that a lot of your research here concerns how emotion influences our memories, and something you deal with and study. It's called flashbulb recollections. What are those, and what have you discovered about them?
Sure. So flashbulb memories are, we just celebrated the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Flashbulb memories, and I bet anybody here and anybody watching at home remembers where they were and what they were doing when they heard the news on that terrible day. That's a flashbulb memory, right? It's as if a flashbulb went off and captured that whole scene. And so some of my earlier work actually showed that although we remember these events really vividly and with a lot of detail, it turns out they're not actually any more accurate than our everyday memories might be. So they feel really as if they happened yesterday, but it turns out they're just as vulnerable to forgetting and misremembering as any of our other memories.
My goodness, and this isn't on the next set of questions, but I would imagine, would that sort of stuff have implications for law, courtroom kind of stuff?
Oh, certainly. I mean, so a big thing within cognitive psychology and my specialty, memory generally, or autobiographical memory, which is how we remember personally experienced events, is the fact that they are vulnerable to all kinds of mistakes of omission, right, regular everyday forgetting, but also mistakes of commission, where you maybe conflate two events and think it was the same thing. And any of us that maybe are married, right, have experienced maybe a dispute about how an event happened and whether my memory is right or yours.
So this could actually help me out. This is really
well, I don't know. But we do a lot of what we do is work on what is it, and I look at emotion specifically and how that can shape the ways in which we make those kinds of mistakes, because they're not random, right? They're predictable and they happen in systematic ways. And so I'm interested in figuring out what is it that about the event or about the individual that shapes and biases their memory in one way or another.
Well, being the Lafayette Sports Network, and my bias is to Lafayette, as yours is growing rapidly. Jen, I asked you this before we came on camera, and someone with your background and your love of the field, I was curious, is it more attractive to you to be at a big school like a Michigan or a Duke, where you can do more research?
I mean, it is and it isn't. The cost of being at a place like Lafayette is I don't have graduate students, I don't have postdocs, I don't have the volume of research that I'm able to do. But the benefit of being at a place like Lafayette is I get to spend time in the classroom, and the students that I do work the undergraduates that work in my laboratory, I work one-on-one, I work really closely with them, and they really get to see what it's like to be a graduate student before they move on, if they go in that direction, or before they take that experience out into the world to whatever it is that they do, med school, practice, into retail, whatever it is that they do.
Yeah, and I hear that all the time. I think one of the huge benefits to our students is being here working with professors, accomplished professionals like yourself who actually apply real-world practicality to what these students will take with them.
Sure, and one of the things that I've done that I think you might be interested in as a Lafayette fan, football fan, right? One of my student undergraduates, as her thesis project, she actually wanted to see, again, how emotion would influence memories for things like a big important football game. And we did that study, and we found out that, lo and behold, it does, right? Same event, winners remember it differently than the losers do. And
you actually applied some of that to the Lafayette-Lehigh football game, I understand?
We did indeed. And so we found, unfortunately, the year we did the study, the bad guys won, but Lafayette lost. But that's all right. One of the really cool things we found is, unlike some of these other emotional memories, that we'll get them again next year, meant that those initial differences after about 10 months sort of went away, and those differences sort of balanced out. And so we can in fact get them next year, and then we'll go from there.
Fascinating stuff. And actually, Jen, you are going to take part in the host of festivities that are planned for the New York City 150th game. Tell us a little bit about your role in that, what you'll be doing.
Sure. So my major role in that is going to be basically to present the research I just discussed earlier, sort of how we did it, what we found, what our major conclusions were and how we can apply it to things like everyday memory and other kinds of emotional memory.
Tell us a little bit about some of the students that may have come through your classroom, what they're doing now. Do you stay in touch with some of them?
Oh, I definitely stay in touch with them. I have one in graduate school and up in New Hampshire. I got one in med school at UMDNJ. I got a bunch of them working and doing all sorts of fun stuff. So it's always good to see where they go.
Jennifer, that's terrific. We're going to wrap it up now. I could talk about this forever. Thanks so much for being with you. For all of you folks out there who maybe have gone through this campus and gone to class here, boy, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The academic program is as strong as ever, and Exhibit A is standing right next to me. Matt, back to you.